are live. All right. I wish I could do it like Michael Buffer, from the UFC.
Yeah.
It's time. Yeah, I can't do that. Anyways, man, well, happy Saturday, Dubs. It's a complete honor and it's just a privilege to have you here on my stream. I've been a huge fan, and I'll just say this real quick because I got to be super vulnerable and I got to be honest. I was telling my wife earlier, I was like, I have not been nervous doing any of this stuff until today, and she said, well, it's because you know that Dub C is really smart, and I'm like, yes, and I'm very intimidated by someone who's smarter than I am. So
come on, man. I'm just a stacker. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been passionate about it for a long time. So what may seem like, I've got endless amount of intelligence or whatever else is just simply not true. I am just somebody who's been stacking for a very long time, and I love it. And when you're passionate about something, it's easy to feel, it's easy to become better about it, to become, if you want to use the word expert or whatever. Plato Escape, good to see you, man. Thank you for being here also.
yeah, buddy, thanks for joining us, and you got it, brother. So he's the first one to jump in, and yeah, I had to bust out the big guns. I had to bust out the kilo, because I figured you're going to bust out that escudo, so...
I'll drop a couple of those. You've got a big pile of gold there too, though. There's nothing to shake a stick at.
Yeah. So, all right. So it's Saturday. Today we're talking Libertades, Mexican silver. As you know, I mean, a Mexican American from SoCal, Chicano Latino. I love Mexican silver. It's just very timeless. A lot of it, of course, obviously has existed way before I was born, but it has such history, and you're super knowledgeable. So I cannot wait to hear what you have to share and talk about. And then I'll say this one last thing before I let you get started. So I'm really proud of this guy. When I saw your 83 proof lib, I was like, man, I need one. And of course, the 83 is just slightly out of my price range right now. So I was like, I found this one, and I could not believe that I found it for $150, and it is legitimate. So,
no, that's nice. I mean, yeah. So I'm in the Midwest of the United States, and I'll just stop periodically if you want to. We can welcome people into the chat. We got Tony Begg.
Absolutely.
Nice to see everybody on a Saturday afternoon. You guys know that I just went live last night, so my voice might be a little bit shot, but I'll try this for as long as I can. In the Midwest of the United States, this is not the kind of place that you expect to see a bunch of Mexican silver. It just isn't. I mean, we are about as far away from Mexico as you can possibly get here. And it's always been something that has fascinated with me. I've got family that is in the American Southwest, and I spent summers in the American Southwest, kind of close to the Mexico border, but never really actually getting into Mexico. So it's always been part of my family's heritage, the same reason that I have the Native American rug that I use as my backdrop.
Yep.
Because there are a lot of societal, social, and everything else related between Mexican Americans and American Indians, and their cultures and heritage and history are very, very much intertwined. There are Native American tribes in Mexico. This is something that a lot of gringos don't know.
Yeah. So Littlefoot saying, Dub, your audio is a little low.
Is it? The problem is that I'm using a microphone that is separate from my camera, so I'll try to get a little bit closer. I'm sure we're making some.
And I hear you loud and clear, Dub. So maybe if someone else can chime in the chat. How's his audio?
Yeah, if you guys are hearing me, okay. Nobody? That's all right. That's perfectly fine.
I hear you perfectly fine.
That's good. I'll just keep on talking, and if anybody else wants to jump in, that's fine too. So the thing is that when I first started stacking in earnest, it was probably the late 1980s, early 1990s, and there was nobody that was interested in this kind of stuff. So I was able to pick up a lot of it, and it was something that sparked my interest and kept me really motivated. So this is the kind of stuff that I have kind of focused on ever since I was a young stacker. And it's, I've said many times before that I'm in a very nice position that I've never had to sell anything. And consequently, the things that I bought a long time ago that didn't cost very much are now, becoming much more desirable, and more people are interested in them. And that just happens to be, for my stack, a lot of Mexican silver.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, man. I mean, You're super knowledgeable. So it was funny too because I didn't bust them out because I was like I wanted to focus on some of this stuff because you had said a couple of things that got my attention. Few streams or maybe videos back where you had mentioned that you're not really a lover, collector, buyer of the more modern Libertad stuff, right? Did I
Yeah,
get that right? Did I remember correctly?
that's definitely the case. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I brought a few of my modern pieces out, as you can see, and and I was like, but why? You know, because these are just so beautiful. But and of course, I'm sure you have some super smart answer to give us. But so, like for example, here's one of the pieces. Now this one technically isn't mine. This is on loan from Darb Q. But so of course I love the chunky Libertades, but if I grab one of these little guys here, I mean these are beauties as well, in my opinion. So tell me what you think, like the big difference between the modern and the older stuff.
So it's really kind of weird, and I know that there are lots of people who stack. You and I are both on Reddit a lot, and there's the Libertad coin subreddit.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm posting there periodically because I do have a lot of pieces that I think qualify. But I'll go and look through. I'll just go through the stream there, and I'll look at the images, and virtually all of it are the modern pieces. And it's to me, it's an awkward looking design. It's just, she looks like she's getting ready to fall off the tower. And this is a famous statue of Winged Liberty that's in the middle of Mexico City, if I remember correctly. And the two mountains in the background are kind of historically important mountains to Mexico and the Mexican people. So, and this is not, I mean, this looks a lot like the actual statue. That's what she really looks like. But to me, it literally looks like she's getting ready to fall off. And it's always seemed kind of awkward to me. And because this was the first one that I fell in love with, that to me is the real Winged Liberty, the real winged angel, or whatever you want to call her. And the other one just looks kind of clunky and silly to me.
Yeah, no, I hear that absolutely, and I'm with you. I'm with you on that. The chunky Libertades, or the gorditas, whatever. Those were mine. My first love as well. So when I first got going, I don't know if you saw some of my initial videos, but I'm not a normal. I don't have like a normal stacking journey, to be honest. I was just like, I just jumped into it, and then I saw them and I loved them, and so everybody said, "Oh, stay away from high premium stuff," and I immediately bought like some of the. I bought like 4 tubes of these for a while. I think my first 160 ounces were Libertades, and all because I just fell in love with them. I found these, and then somebody had them on PMs for sale, and I just fell in love with them. I bought like 2 or 3 tubes all at once. I just went all in because I liked them.
That's awesome. I think it looks beautiful, and it's not that I mind the later version, which seems kind of silly because they started making that one in like 95 or something like that. It's not like she's late. That's been the classic design. If you were coming up now, that's the design of the Libertad that you've always seen. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce it Libertades. It just sounds silly coming out of my mouth. But so that design is attractive, and I can understand it. To me, it's just not the original, and the original is what I got used to. So. Yeah. Also, I mean, if you've got the Dos Pesos, the original Dos Pesos from 1921, 1922, whatever it was, that's the same design that was used on it, and consequently, it's the classic design that I really like, and also the 50 peso, right?
Yep. Wow, we're getting a lot of traffic in, so let me just recognize we got Sublime Mud Dog. Thanks for joining us. Tony Begg, thanks for joining. Who else we have? We got Littlefoot. Just added Littlefoot and Plato as mods, just because Plato jumped in, who's one of the first ones. He was like right on time. He's like very, very on time. Love that. Roadkill, good to see you, buddy. Reckless Collections. Anyone else? Did I miss anyone else? All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. So today we're talking all things Libertades, Mexican silver. Ask if you have any questions for Dubs. Ask away. Utilize his brain. My IQ points go up 2 points every time I'm around him virtually. So,
well, I appreciate that. Thanks, man, and thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun. I don't get to go live very often on a Saturday. This is a great opportunity for me because so far the phone hasn't been ringing off the hook like it does for me sometimes. So just to be able to be here and talk precious metals and talk about Mexican silver in particular, Mexican silver and Mexican gold also is a thrill.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. So we're giving stories, or I shared my story of when I first started, and so this is also my first gold. I think I've said this a bunch of times. People probably annoyed hearing that, but yeah, this was my first gold, and I just, at the time I went heavy, and then I was like, well, once I held one in my hand, I'm like, I gotta have another one, and then finally I ended up with four, and then I kind of ventured out to other stuff, and ultimately when I saw Thousandair's last video, well, a few back when he got his fifth centenario, 50 pesos, I was like, I need to get my fifth one, and I did finally. But the thing about that 50 pesos was that I traded a bunch of these. I traded 4 tubes of my chunky Libertades for it,
Wow.
and so that was probably not the best move. But no, anyways,
that's nothing wrong with that, especially if are you going strictly for the 1947s, or are you going for earlier dates?
Well, I wish I would have known about the non-restrikes, but yeah, here, let me put you on the screen because I want people to see what you're showing us here. Yeah, I went just all restrike. So unless I got lucky and I have one that's a non-restrike, but they're all pretty much, I'm pretty sure they're all restrike 47s.
Gotcha. So these are probably my latest of the classic design, and that's the 1992. But we had somebody asking about the fractionals. So I don't know how far in back they went with the fractionals. This is obviously 92, and we're in 2026 now, so they go back quite a ways.
Yeah.
But, the fractionals, I don't know. Maybe you know better than I do. I don't know exactly when these were first released, how long they've been out there.
Yeah, I myself, I don't really know much about fractional. My only fractional is this guy back here, that half one there that I got. Got it on PMs for sale, and I got a really good deal out of it. I can't believe now that half ounce is like worth $50-$60 now. That's crazy to me.
That is insane. It's crazy. Even for people who've only been at this for a couple of years, you folks have seen the price of metals skyrocket from where they were when you first got into it. But for me, it's just shocking.
Yeah, almost a face reveal. Was that Dubs with the almost face reveal?
Probably. You guys don't want to see my face. Everybody acts like they want to know who I am. Trust me, you don't want to know.
I think when was it when you were talking about having the Stein, or not the Stein, or drinking the I was like, I'm pretty sure I saw half your face.
Yeah, probably did. Probably did. Breaking the camera. So you're definitely into the Mexican gold also. Are you into other coins and bars and silver outside of Mexico, or is this a main focus? Is it just kind of a focus?
So here's the thing. I wish I could be like, I like variety, because I do. I absolutely love my variety. Like, for example, this right here is just one of the most, oh my gosh, it's just it just takes my breath away when I hold it. And I know this is just like a custom pour that FG Stacker made for me, but so this right here is something I'm absolutely in love with, because number one, I grew up watching Ninja Turtles. Number two, I gave him some silver. I sent him some silver, and he melted it and made this custom for me. Cool. But of course, so I love variety, but I also really love the history, and just I don't know, there's just something weird about holding this kind of silver. Like, back to these chunkies, right? These were my first. There's just something, I don't know how to explain it, if it's spiritual, I don't know. It's just, there's just something magnetizing, like some energy holding these. And so I absolutely fell in love with these. And so, these are like, probably I'll say my number one first love as far as silver goes. Mm-hmm. And then this, because, again, I was just getting into it. This is like gold I really like, but I definitely have other gold, other silver, of course. But it's just the more that I learn as I've started this journey, because I've only been, I'll say, like, really stacking since probably 2021. Okay. And the more that I learn about different things, like, for example, let's see. Now I got this recently. I made a video, this wedge-tailed eagle. the more I learn about other mints, about other countries, even like the U.S. mint stuff, the more that I learn, the more that I just want a little bit of all of it. I don't
Yeah.
know. What about you?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the way it works for most of us, I think. I started in the United States. I started snacking kind of the typical things that you would find at a coin shop, but when you've been doing it for a while, your interests start to get a little bit broader, I think, and it's not so much that you get bored of the pieces that you're most commonly stacking when you're a younger stacker. It's just that you start looking for other things, and those other things, one thing leads to another, and you start getting more and more breadth to your stack.
Yeah.
So I would say that probably the second largest amount of silver and gold that I own is Mexican. The
Oh,
primary would probably be American, but nothing else would make up a significant portion. It's just that I have a lot of stuff from a lot of other places.
yeah,
So it would
absolutely.
definitely be Mexican, as it is really, really close to the amount of American stuff that I have too. But then,
Yep.
after that, if I've got 25% American, 20% Mexican, and then everything else is everything else in the world.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that. See, mine's just like that, but mine's like 50% Mexican and then American and then, and then a little bit of everything else.
Yep. I mean, it's just, it has a lot to do with the proximity. The fact that you're a Mexican American is cool, but for me, I'm just a gringo. I'm just a white dude from the Midwest. But, like I said, my family is from the American Southwest, and Mexico shares an enormous border with us. It's not like we're connecting pieces from Palau or someplace.
Yeah, Silver Dragoon. Yo, he says, gents, was curious to learn about the Mexican coins. Love the details on them. Plato, what do you say? The Mexican mint has got to be my favorite mint, but I think the vintage U.S. mint stuff is the most iconic to me in design. Yeah, it's all just has its own, for me, has its own place. You know what I mean? Like I can't say, oh my gosh, this one's better. So if I had to say which one is my number one favorite, I have to go with the Mexican mint. Second would be the U.S. mint, and then I like Scottsdale and just those other ones. What about you, Dubs?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the case with me too. I have bits and pieces of stuff from everywhere, and I've tried over the years to kind of whittle it down so it's not so shotgun scattered everywhere. But honestly, when you've got a really fancy piece of, British gold from the 1700s, and you pick up a really nice piece of Chinese silver from the 1800s, you don't want to start getting rid of stuff. It's easy to kind of stack that stuff and collect it and get things all over the place.
So if you had to pick based on not everything you have, but just on what you have there on the screen,
Yep.
Of all of that there, as far as like the Mexican silver, which one would be one of your favorite pieces? Or let's say your top two favorite pieces.
So, if I'm going to go with the Mexican silver, it's got to be the 1983 proof.
Ooh, let's get that full screen. Let's get that full screen.
So I know you and I have talked about this one before. For people who haven't seen it before, this was the first year, technically 1982 was the first year of the Libertad. But in 1983, there was a wide release of proofs. I think there are something like 3 or 4 from 1982. But those were supposed to be, the kind of proofs that are kept at the mint. It's not like the kind of thing that was released to the public. So we do know of a couple of 1982 proofs, I think, but the 1983 was the first proof that a consumer could have bought. And they kind of flew under the radar. Nobody really knew about them because the Libertad was still a very, very new thing. The first year that they were made was the 1983, really. And the 83 wasn't really even obtainable, if I remember correctly, until 1994 or 1984.
Wow.
So by the time that people even knew that there was a coin out there, the first year of production had already come and gone. And consequently, the Mexico City Mint only made something like 990 pieces of the proof Libertad for 1983. And this was, for a period of time, the top 2 or 3. There were 2 or 3 of these that were graded 69 DCAM. And the DCAM, for those who don't know, just means deep cameo. This is a proof with very, very highly mirrored surfaces. You can see just how reflective they are. The Mexico City Mint, in my opinion, was the absolute pinnacle of making proofs in the 1980s. They made the most insanely deep mirrored pieces. So that was one of only 3 that had ever been graded proof 69 by PCGS.
Wow.
I was at an auction. I was actually watching a heritage auction, and I had more money than brains, and that piece came up, and I thought, that's a really pretty proof. I would like to own a Libertad proof because I already had Libertads by that time.
Wow.
So I bid.
Would
I want to say 11 or 1200 bucks for it.
Yep, you read in my mind. I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, and I won it, and I thought, well, that was really cool. I remember looking and realizing that there were so few that had been made, and I was like, well, I can't really lose paying $1,000 for this. And then it was probably 2 or 3 years later that I just happened to check eBay, and there were two examples out there. One of them was selling for $12,000, and the other one was selling for $9,000.
Whoa.
So
Whoa.
I think more of them have been made. That's the term we use when people send a coin into the third-party graders, and you get a nice grade on it. You say you made the coin. More of these have been made in the last 5 years or so. So they're not quite as scarce as they were when I first bought this piece. And I think consequently the price has dropped down probably more to that $4,000 or $5,000 range. But what makes it interesting is that because the mintage was so small, and it's been 40 years since these pieces were released, the chance that another super high grade example is going to be found out in the wild and then submitted to be graded gets more and more small every single day that passes. So we have probably seen all of these that are ever going to be submitted already having been submitted, and there are very few of them. There's probably 25 or so that have graded 69 DCAM, and nothing to my knowledge has ever been graded as 70 DCAM.
Wow. Yeah, I was on the hunt for an 83. I was just, let me just see what I can find, because maybe I'll liquidate some gold, whatever. Maybe I'll sell that sheet of pandas, but the more that I looked, and it's just, I think the cheapest one I could find was like on eBay for like 1,500 or so.
Yeah, I think there's somebody who's got a graded example out there that's like a 64 or 65 or something like that.
Yep, and I'm very, very tempted to get it just to say that I have one, because I'm like, when will I ever see one come up like that? Under 3,000.
Sure. Yeah,
but
so that would definitely be my favorite silver Mexican piece, and then my favorite gold piece is the 50 peso, just because I've had that for so long. That's a 30. This is the one that I paid $860 for 17 years ago, and it was a stretch for me when I did that. This was one of the most expensive early coins that I bought early in my stacking career. And this was hard for me to be able to spend that kind of money on it. But now, I mean, they're $5,000 or $6,000 worth of gold alone. So
Yep. So then that is MS63 1930. What would you say something like that goes for today?
I don't know. The thing is that with gold right now, and silver to some extent, but gold especially, unless something has a huge numismatic premium, the premiums are kind of evaporating as the price of gold goes up. So with the price of gold right now at 4,400 and change, or whatever it is, and each one of these is what, 1.2 something troy ounces. So you're at $5,000 just for the gold value, or very close to it.
Yeah.
So I doubt there's a whole lot of a numismatic premium for them now. I honestly haven't looked recently. Somebody in the chat can pop over to eBay and look up a 1930 50 peso MS63 and see if there's a premium. I kind of doubt that there is, but at a certain point, it doesn't really matter. If it's still a $5,000 coin, it's a $5,000 coin.
Wow. Love it. Yeah. Man. Yeah, everybody's like super excited whenever they hear you talk about all of this stuff. So let's see. Let me go, and I'll let you take care of the chat for a minute while I show what I like. And so, of course, I can't. It's hard for me to just give a straight answer sometimes, because I have a story. But I'll just say this is my favorite silver. This is my favorite gold. Just so that I don't, bore everyone with the long story. But when I first started stacking, of course, I love the chunkies, love these chunkies, las gorditas. But I remember coming across the kilo, and so I ended up getting not a kilo Libertad, but it was one of those Aztec calendars. I think it's like 100 pesos, 100 pesos, 2020, and so that's as close as I can get, and it's just, they're hard to find. And then now lately they just have crazy premiums. But I happened to come across someone in a sub on PMs for sales. I love to buy on PMs for sale. Somebody was having a rough go of life. They had to liquidate this specifically, and I bought it within minutes. Like within minutes of them. I didn't even have the money. I just didn't. And I saw it. I'm like, I gotta get it. So I immediately bought it. And how much did I pay? I think I'm too ashamed to say what I paid, but I felt really bad. It was under 2,000. This is not worth under 2,000. This is well over $3,000.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But it was I got a really good deal. So same day, bought it within 10 minutes of it posting. I immediately liquidated the Aztec kilo and then got this. But yeah, I had been wanting one of these, and these are just hard to find because they're like 500 mintage for
Oh,
this
yeah.
specific year, 2023. So yeah, 500 mintage kilo reverse proof, very difficult to find, especially within not a huge premium. So anyways, I got this one, and then of course this is my first gold, so I'm always going to have this on me. And it's funny too, because people like will look at these others and they're like, how do you know? I'm like, you just know. You know your gold.
Yeah,
This is my first one. I could pick it out, probably not even looking.
that's
But
funny. No, that's really cool. So we have very similar taste, it looks like. I don't have a silver kilo except for one bar, so I certainly don't have any coins. But that is an interesting piece, and that's one of the interesting things about the Mexico City Mint, especially with the later versions, that Mexico has gone all in with the reverse proofs, with the fractional sizes, with the 5 ounce and the kilo size pieces, the antique finished, and all of that kind of stuff. If you are interested in collecting a wide variety with kind of a similar theme, then the Mexico City Mint is what the doctor ordered. It's just that, for the later pieces, it's not maybe as thrilling to me as it might be for some other people, but not to discount at all the fact that they have done some fascinating pieces. Those two pieces that you have towards the top of your screen, the larger pieces, are those 5 ounces?
yeah, so I was actually just gonna chime in on this one. So this one here is the 5 ounce reverse proof that I just picked up.
Okay.
I made a video and I talked about how this one I found it for $590. And then of course I have this 2024 proof, but this 2018. The reason I found it so significant was because I have the 2018 gold proof.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, you have a 2018 gold proof. Why not get a 2018 reverse proof? And like I said, these on the sub, they don't come up very often, and when they do, like I said, they go in within minutes. People really really love these, and so the gentleman selling them. He usually sells a lot of Libertad stuff. I actually bought that from him. So I saw this one and I said, you know what, I better get it. So I added it.
Very cool. Very, very, like I said, the Mexico City Mint puts out amazing things, and they try to keep their audience interested. And it certainly seems to be working, especially with things like the 2025 Libertads. Those things are insane.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, the premiums on those. Would you pay for one of those? I know you don't like them, but
Yeah.
would you ever even think about getting one of those?
If I were to find something like that at a local shop and there wasn't much of a premium, I would snap it up. I'm not an idiot, but it's not what I collect. It's just interesting to see them have, really throttling this this modern piece that should have been made in the hundreds of thousands. And I still haven't seen a mintage that I trust, but I think it's in the low thousands, if that.
Do you have any ideas why it's such a low mintage? Do you think it has anything to do with like the government, cartels, any of that kind of stuff?
I don't. I haven't even heard any theories on why the mintage is so low, just that it has been so low. But yeah, I mean, I want to say that I saw an example of just a single. We're talking about a single 1 troy ounce Libertad. That is the modern piece. The 2025 sells for like $1,800, $2,000, something like that.
Wow.
Amazing.
So
Yeah, that it may even be considerably higher than that. I just wanted to stop and give a shout out. Penny Scout, thank you for being here. Matt Wingay, I appreciate you guys being here. Sublime Mad Dog, you just asked this question. We'll get to it in just a second. VR Alliance, good to see you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. He'd asked Sublime Mad Dog asked about the Panama Balboas. I do have some. Hold on just a moment.
yeah, take your time, because I do not have one of those. I don't even know what that is. I'm just like, so I'm sure Dubs will school us in a minute.
If I've actually got examples here, and I'm not sure that my examples are going to be, I'm not sure that I even got these out of the vault. So what he's talking about is the Panama Balboas were pieces that were struck by the United States Mint in the early part of the 20th century for the country of Panama, which has always been kind of a de facto, territory of the United States. It's not really, but we've always kind of treated that way. And these Balboas, they're beautiful silver dollar size coins that are actually the same size, weight, and purity as the American silver dollar because they were struck at the United States Mint.
Nice.
So they're a really nice thing to collect. They've got a big, conquistador. They've got Balboa on the front with his huge metal helmet and his breastplate. And on the back, they have a beautiful standing female figure. Beautiful pieces. And I've got a couple, 3 examples, but I just don't have them out of the vault with me right now.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Awesome. Well, let me see. Who was it here? I think I saw, who was it? Somebody here said that they had one. Gotta go back in the chat. Somebody here said it. But going back to some of these premiums talk, so yeah, I just, I noticed it. So when I first got, when I first was going, I remember Libertades being like, 35, 38, 39. And that's back when silver was in the 20s, of course. So we're looking at, 5 to 10 over spot. And so, with things today, I thought that the premiums would go down, but it doesn't appear that that's the case. The premiums still are staying pretty high on the Libertades.
That's one of the things that I noticed when I first started shooting videos, and my 3-year anniversary is coming right up. Excuse me.
Bless you. Bless you. And congratulations on your 3-year anniversary, man.
Yeah,
that's a huge feat, man.
That's
Seriously.
up in February. Yeah, so, always having been a stacker of the Libertads, something that I was always very much aware of in some of my earlier videos, you probably know that I've released a 5-part video series about stacking Mexican silver coins.
Yep.
And I focused a lot on the Libertads because I like them so much. But when I first started shooting videos, I think we were starting to break out of COVID. It was still there. And that was when the premiums on these coins had gone up to where it was $15 or $20 per coin for just a random date Libertad.
Yeah.
And it doesn't ever seem to have recovered from that. It seems like we're still in a really high premium. If you can find a Libertad for a premium that is equal to an American Silver Eagle, it just doesn't seem to happen very often.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons. And I'll try not to plug it too much because I want to stick to the topic of Libertades. But in PMs for sale, that's one of the things I noticed is that right now they're going like hotcakes, and they're going anywhere between $90 to $100 per, and that's like just kind of like some of these. I just saw some of these just actually probably within an hour of us going live. I was on there, and yeah, I saw an 83 for going for about $100. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, they are a beautiful coin. There's no denying that. And obviously I love them, but that kind of a premium, it doesn't really make sense. I don't know why people would be paying it. I mean, it's supply and demand, and I guess it's a good thing if you've got them, but
yeah, they're
not the kind of thing that I'm getting rid of very often. So incidentally, I did show that I've got one of the larger pieces. This is a 20 Balboa from Panama.
Whoa, here, let me put you full screen. Got to get a look at that bad boy there.
Yeah, it's just a big goofy coin. This is a 1973. It's made out of silver, and this was early bullion, right? This was when people were starting to stack for the first time. And this piece, what makes this interesting, and I'll try to get it in here without a face reveal if I possibly can, is that that little mark right there that looks almost like a corn stalk.
Yeah.
So that is the hallmark of the Franklin Mint. This was made by a private mint in the United States for the country of Panama in the 1970s.
Franklin Mint. Why does that sound so familiar? What's the history on the Franklin Mint?
So the Franklin Mint was actually started by one of the former United States Mint chief engravers. And I think it was the guy that did the, I want to say it's the Franklin or the Jefferson half dollar. I'm not positive. But he was tempted to leave the American Mint to go do this private mint. They offered him a ton of money and partial equity in the company. And then they kind of took advantage of the private interest in silver bullion. And they started making consumer bullion about the same time as the silver art bars came out in the early 1970s. So from the very late 1960s to the Gilroy Roberts, I think is his name, the early 1960s to the kind of the mid 1970s, the Franklin Mint was one of the largest private mints in the world, and they had a huge marketing arm that sold silver constantly. And they were really, really popular until the time that they weren't. And then the bottom dropped out and nobody wanted Franklin Mint stuff. But they
Oh,
actually made stuff for a lot of smaller countries in like the Caribbean, like Panama, obviously, but also places like I want to say Belize and some other kind of smaller countries. They had Bermuda. They had their coins made by the Franklin Mint because they didn't make very many of them. They were really more kind of collector pieces than they were made to circulate anyway. So it's only been in like maybe the last 5 years or so that people have started to kind of appreciate Franklin Mint pieces. When I was coming up, nobody wanted them. They were kind of like silver art bars that way. Now everybody seems to like them.
yeah, yeah. It's just funny how life, what is that? History repeats itself.
Yeah.
Oh, people, things go in and out of fashion. So what about these? Would you call these libertades? I mean, it says libertad on the front.
I mean, I probably would. They're Cap and Ray, 8 reales. And I mean, tell me, how do you pronounce reale?
Reales.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you actually say reales. I know a lot of people in the Midwest say real or
Yeah, they say
real.
real. Yeah,
But
real.
I say reale just because it sounds better to my untrained, unspanish speaking ear.
I liken it to when you say tamales. Nobody says tamale. They say tamales or tamal, un tamal or tamales. So I kind of think reales, real. I guess you could say real, but it's reales. What the coin itself says.
I like it. That makes a lot of sense to me. We got a couple of questions. I just wanted to hit Greg Olson. Thank you for posting that. He said they were targeted to a specific audience. He's not wrong, right? They were targeted to retirees, the Franklin Mint stuff. So definitely something that was the case, and they definitely fell out of favor. And it was, nobody seemed to really want to buy that stuff. But a lot of it is very well made. What's interesting is that so much of that stuff is made out of sterling silver, and nobody wanted sterling silver. And obviously, we've seen the recent things with the refineries being reluctant to buy sterling silver.
Yep.
So I think you said something about history repeating itself. You're not wrong. I mean, we went from an era where nobody wanted sterling silver to where people were starting to realize there were some interesting pieces out there in sterling, not the least of which are the
Nice.
right?
The onzas. Is that your 47?
49.
40. Oh, the 49. That's the
49.
one that's the key date, right?
Yeah, that's the, well, I mean, technically the 78, I guess, is a smaller mintage, but that one is so much older that I think it's probably realistically the key date. This is the piece that Tony Begg was just talking about. I think this is the railroad 5 peso.
Wow.
50.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting design. This was celebrating the railroad coming to the end of the Yucatan Peninsula, and I think Mexico overestimated how interesting it was to the common people. Nobody seemed to want these, so Mexico made a bunch of these, and they sat in bank vault bags, and they were eventually melted down, and that's what the 1968 25 pesos were made of, with the athlete on the front.
Wow. And tell me a little bit more about that 49.
That's the 1968 that those were made out of. The 49. So I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with these, since I'm the one.
That's okay. I love it.
With these. So this is the 1945 Onza. This was a piece that Mexico City kind of came out of nowhere with. They had been making the 5 pesos essentially out of 72% pure silver, and they made the 10 pesos out of 90% pure silver at about this time. Mm-hmm. And then for some reason, they just decided, and it probably has something to do with, honestly, with this piece. And I don't know this to be a fact. It's just a hunch. And I talked about this one in the live stream last night. This is the 1898 1 peso, Cap and Ray. But this piece was actually struck in the 1940s, 1949. And it was struck on behalf of the United States of America, struck in Mexico to provide silver coins to the Chinese nationalists who were fighting Mao Zedong. So Mexico reintroduced and backdated these big silver coins to work as payment for their soldiers. And the story is that Mexico was never able to deliver these on time. The nationalists fell to Mao Zedong, the communists. And consequently, the United States Mint had actually made a bunch of these also. The United States Mint was busy as fast as they could, striking 1 peso coins from 1898 in 1949, something like that. But the nationalists fell. The Chinese weren't able to take delivery of these pieces. So consequently, Mexico sold a whole bunch of them to their citizens. And I think that's probably where the Onza came in. I think it was probably from the same, we know it's from the same era, it's from the same year or two. But these were the first 1 ounce, 1 troy ounce silver bullion vehicle I think that it was ever made by a sovereign country, and arguably the first one that was ever made. You can see the 1949 date down there. It got some really bright sunlight and it's starting to wash me out a little bit, but I'm sure it'll disappear after a bit. So the 1949 date, and what makes these interesting is that they're called an onza because they literally say on it, una onza troy. So this was the first 1 troy ounce silver bullion vehicle that was probably ever made. 1949, it has the weight in troy ounces, it has the weight in grains, and it has the weight in grams also. And it also states the purity, very easy to see. But the purity is 92.5%. This is sterling silver, and it's larger than a full troy ounce to account for that alloy. So the long and short is that it's the first 1 troy ounce of silver bullion vehicles that was probably ever made.
Wow, love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing is a beauty. That thing is a beauty. And after you, after I saw your live about it, of course, every time I hear you say something, I'm like, you make it sound so interesting, and I go to look to see if I can find them. And not only can I not find them, if I do find them, they're ridiculously expensive. Just like, yo, yeah, way out of my price range on some of this stuff.
Yeah, the 49 is bizarre because I don't even remember having bought the 2 examples. Maybe I've got 3 examples. And I know they were just mixed in with the modern versions of those. So they made these, Mexico made these in 1949. They made 1 million of them, and then they stopped. And then in 1978, they re-released a coin that is very, very similar. It looks almost identical unless you know what you're looking for. And they made those in 1978, 1979, and 1980, and they made millions of them. These are the later versions of them. So that's the 1979 version. And for a long time, nobody wanted these either for the same reason. They're sterling silver, and nobody wanted sterling silver. When we started to get pure silver hitting the market, these fell out of favor very, very quickly. But, probably 15 years ago, I started having conversations with people online saying, why does nobody want these early pieces, the 1949 examples in particular? Because they are so fascinating. If you like bullion, this is it. This is really the very first 1 troy ounce silver bullion vehicle, like ever.
Yeah.
Because they made 1 million of them, because nobody wanted them at the time, that you could pick them up for nothing. And now I made a video not too long ago where I said that I'd actually tried to buy one that was slabbed. It was an MS65, I think, or 64. And it went for like 4 times what I thought it would go for. I bid like $150 and it sold for like $600.
Nice. And so Rural Stacker says, Dub C, everyone praises your stack now, but what were they saying when silver was flat for years before the run up?
Rural Stacker, this is a really good question and something that nobody ever seems to ask me. And it's kind of funny because I'm one of those people who doesn't see silver continuing on this meteoric path. Honestly, if it does, I'm fine. I've got plenty of silver, so it doesn't bother me anyway. But I'm one of those people who are like, if you've got another reason to get out of silver or gold and get into something else that you've been eyeing for a while, this might not be a bad opportunity. And I've been doing this for so long that I remember when nobody wanted this stuff. Like I said, the onzas, for example, dealers couldn't give them away. They sold them for much less than their silver value. And we're talking when silver was, $12-15 an ounce. You could buy them for $10 a piece. So nobody wanted this kind of stuff. And I was hoovering it up whenever I could. Whenever I had extra money, I was buying the most interesting pieces that I could. And it was funny how immediately you start sifting through the stuff that just a few weeks ago would have been the most interesting piece in the world. But now you've got a couple of examples of it. It's that, what else can I find? What else is out there that nobody seems to want? So you're absolutely right. That was the case for many, many years. I was, deep into buying these pieces because I think they are so beautiful and because they are historic and because they're silver and gold, which is, obviously the foundation of all of this. But to get to a point when nobody seemed to care and, you would make a post on a coin forum or something like that and people were like, yawn. I was like, what do you mean yawn? This is cool stuff. This is really awesome. Nobody seemed to care. And I guarantee you, Rural Stacker, that time will come again when the price of silver falls. And that could be tomorrow or it could be 5 years from now. The price
Yeah.
will fall. People will backtrack again. Nobody will be interested in this, and old Dub C will still be out there looking for these interesting pieces because I think they're beautiful.
Yeah, you make a really good point. I was when I was first getting going, I remember seeing the like I said, there's the chunkies, and then of course there's like the key date 98 that everybody wants. As far as the Libertades go, but I remember seeing like the chunkies, and then some of those back there that have on display. They would be selling pretty regularly, and then of course higher premiums. But you're right, the onzas, sometimes I would see them right at spot, or sometimes even below spot when I was first getting started, and I didn't pay much attention to them. And in the last couple of years, when I was liquidating, moving some into gold or picking up different pieces, I sold the ones that I had like a knucklehead, and then I regretted it because because I was like, I don't have any in my stack anymore. And then that was just, recently I did a video where I found, or where I got a tube of 19 of them BU for $72 each. So, I mean, given, silver's pretty high now, but I was like, man, that's such a good deal. So I had to snag them.
I think that's a good deal, especially with the premiums the way they've been recently. That would be a fantastic deal now. So, yeah, but what happens if silver drops down to $25 an ounce? Are you still going to feel good about it?
Oh heck yeah, they're staying in my stack for life. Like they are so beautiful. I mean, it's just like I said, the artwork. Like for example, like even I've probably talked about these till I'm blue in the face, but I mean even these, like they're I guess you can consider these because these are what are they? I forget 70, not 80. They're 70 what percent?
78 to 80, I think, 100 pesos.
Yeah, because I did a video comparing these to 90%, and I'm like, well, there's Mexican 90%, and a lot of people didn't really want these, but I mean, man, I just like the artwork is just so beautiful. They're so timeless. They're heavy. I mean, I don't know. I just, like I said, I really just like Mexican silver.
Yep. I only have one roll of them, and I was a little bit reluctant to buy them because these are 72% pure. Mexico's always had this standard of 72 and 90%.
Yep.
Not always, but that's kind of the way it seems to break down. But, if there's no denying that these are they're a beautiful, interesting coin with that kind of full-facing figure on the front. It's just a very unusual thing. And these pieces were one of the last silver circulating coins. You could make the argument that they were never really made to circulate, but the fact that they're 100 pesos, versus one of the earlier pieces like the 2 peso from earlier in the same century, you can see just how quickly silver devalued, or the peso devalued, whichever way you want to look at it. So the 1978s, they're a beautiful coin. The reverse has taken me a long time to really get into it. Almost looked like a kid's maze. I remember.
Yes, I was. Yep. It looks like a maze. Yep.
It looked like the kind of thing that you'd get at a restaurant on the back
stencil.
Of the yeah. But there's something very cool about it. And if you want a great big solid silver coin, even if it's only 72% pure, the United States of America certainly wasn't putting out something like this at the time. So these are still quite affordable. You can still find these, and I was able to pick these up for less than melt when I bought them. These are some of the last pieces that I bought really stacking this type of material, and this probably only goes back 5 years or so.
Wow. And who was it? Reckless Collection says, when we do get a pullback on silver, in your opinion, what do you see it going to? Oh, that's a magic.
Yeah, that's, you've got a crystal ball if you can answer that question. And unfortunately, I can't. I don't want to say I've been wrong about the price of silver, but I have been saying since I launched my channel that I could not believe how high silver was compared to where it was when I first started stacking, and how high the premiums had become. But when I launched the channel, silver was $25 an ounce, something like that. So the idea of it being $75 or $80 an ounce, whatever it is now, it is going to fall back. People are going to take profits eventually. Huge investors who have been buying silver aren't buying it for the goodness of their heart. They're buying it to make money. And the only way they can access that money is to eventually sell those contracts. That is going to happen. We just don't know when it's going to happen. What will it fall back to? My gut tells me somewhere between $30 and $50 an ounce, and that even seems high. But honestly, man, Reckless, I have absolutely no idea. If I could answer that question, I'd be a billionaire.
Yeah, you and Warren Buffett would be sharing the private plane.
Dubsy, the Coin Story podcast was directed to you. I don't think many others here would be interested. Oh, I'm sorry, Greg Olson. I think you might have mentioned one of those not too long ago, right? That was the live stream yesterday. Was that you who said that? It's all good, man. I don't mind other YouTubers on YouTube. I watch a lot of other YouTubers, so it's all good. We're all part of the same community. It's all fun.
Yeah, it's all good times. Awesome. What does anyone have any other questions? So I would love to get to know you more, Dubs. I've seen a lot of you, but you stick to the coin talk, which is good. But I would love to get to know you a little bit better. So we know that you love beer.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. What else can I say about me that wouldn't divulge exactly who I am?
Well, yeah, no, we don't. Yeah, not too personal. But for example, what is your go-to meal? And I say this because from what I remember, you're vegan. I used to be vegan years and years ago. One of my favorite things to cook was Asian food because you can throw in your vegetables and you can come up with all kinds of stuff. And of course, there's like all these mock meats and cheeses and mock eggs, all these different things. But what's your go-to meal?
That's a great question. It's funny how few people seem to ask me that question. There's it's kind of funny that people say that vegans always want to talk about themselves. Nobody wants to hear about my diet. But for Americans, especially when you are an American and you hear somebody is a vegan, you immediately start saying, what kind of food do you eat? And it's funny that American food tends to be very meat oriented.
Yep.
When we think of a fancy American meal, we think about a steak or something like that. But there is so much ethnic food, other cultures in the world where they eat very little meat. So when you start thinking about what do you eat, what is your go-to, I eat tons of Mexican. I eat tons of Italian. I eat tons of Asian. Because when you're thinking about spaghetti and meatballs or that kind of food, it doesn't necessarily have to have meat in it. If you're looking at Mexican food, black beans, you've got pinto beans, you've got all the vegetables, you've got tortillas, you've got rice, you've got, I make a meal out of Mexican food constantly, even if it's fast food, and then for Asian food, I'm a huge fan of sushi. So I eat a lot of sushi. I don't eat the sushi that's got fish in it, obviously, but there are all sorts of other sushi that you can eat. So, and Chinese and stir fries and all of that kind of stuff. It's really an American diet that's got a lot of meat in it. And believe me, I'm 6'2", 6'3", and well over 200 pounds. So it's not like I'm hurting for it.
Roll Stacker says, I love gold and I love your collection, but if I got to give up meat to get it, I'm out.
It's all good, man. I'm not one of those types of vegans that says, you got to stop eating meat. I worked in a steakhouse for many, many years when I was a younger man, and I have only been vegan for about 30 years now. So I haven't eaten meat, no fish, no cheese, no eggs. I don't wear leather. I don't wear wool. I don't wear silk. So I am kind of hardcore in that aspect, but it doesn't matter to me. When I go out with family, we go to places where they can get a steak or a burger, and it doesn't bother me in the least. It's all good. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you might want to consider, exploring some of those meatless options sometimes. At least don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, exactly. So if there's like you're on a, it's a Monday night, you just got done watching Monday Night Metals. What's your go-to snack or just your go-to quick meal?
Oh man. It's probably pasta of some kind.
Nice.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was pasta of some kind.
Nice. Yes, pasta was my favorite. Well, of course, I'm Mexican, so I love Mexican food. So I would probably make like arroz mexicano, like the red rice, and then throw on some pinto beans, throw some lettuce, tomatoes. You could get all kinds of good food. But I was just curious. Just get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that the fake meats and the fake cheeses now are so good compared to what they were when I first started. They were terrible when I first started, and now we give if I've got a crew that's over at my house for whatever reason and I'm having lunch, I'll make them sandwiches out of the stuff that I eat, and they can't even tell that it's meat free. That's how good stuff has become recently.
Yeah, and it's funny, and I'm sorry, y'all. We're getting away from the topic of
Yeah.
coins and libertades, but I just wanted to get to know Dubs a little bit better. And then, I mean, I don't know how many of our subscribers are subscribed to each other's channel, but I just, I really love to get to know people. I'm really big on just history and just getting to know people. But so, for example, so the point that you make, my brother, of course, a huge meat eater. I mean, I still eat meat now. I'm not vegan anymore, but back then, I remember I would make like soy chorizo, and I would make my own soy chorizo, and I love to cook. So I used to own a food truck. I love to cook. So, anyways, I remember making breakfast one time. My brother comes over, and I said, "Hey, you want a chorizo with burrito with it's like eggs, just a breakfast burrito with eggs, beans, and chorizo." And so he ate it. He's like, "Man, this is delicious." And I said, and after we were done eating, we were just chilling and hanging out. And I said, "Oh, by the way, none of that had meat. None of that had real eggs." He's like, "What?" He didn't believe me.
That's awesome.
That was hilarious.
I love spicy food. I love spicy Mexican food. I'll sit there and eat whole jalapenos. No problem at all. It's my favorite. And chorizo, we don't get it very often because there's so little, vegan chorizo out here. But like tonight, I'll probably have a poke bowl.
Nice.
So I know in California, you guys have a lot of those. In the Midwest, we don't really have that very much. But
yep,
it's kind of like sushi in a bowl, kind of.
Yeah.
I like it spicy. So
nice.
I know that Greg Olson just said Indian food is his favorite too. I mean, there's probably 300 or 400 million Indians that don't eat meat either. So
yep, absolutely.
A very non-meat centric food also, and I eat a ton of Indian food also. So you can see Italian, Mexican, Chinese, Japanese, Indian. Very few of those, are you going to encounter meat if you don't want to? It's really just kind of the American diet that has so much meat in it. And I don't preach. If that's what you like, help yourself. But I don't think it's very healthy. For me, I do it primarily to lessen my environmental impact. It's always been something that I try to do.
Well, and let's be honest, we love our stacks and we want to be with our stacks for a really long time. And so you're going to outlive all of us. Shoot, I've always said it. When I turn 50, I'm going 1,000% vegan. So I still have 7.5 years left to enjoy the things that I currently enjoy. But yeah, at 50, I'm going full vegan because I know that's what's going to help me live longer.
Yeah, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But at least, for right now, it's about quality of life. And I'm in pretty dang good health considering. So, it's just something that once you've done it for a while, and I know we don't want to keep on harping on veganism, that's a silly thing to talk about. But once you've done it for a while, meat and cheese and things like that become like, people are like, how do you possibly do that? How can you continue to do that? It's like looking at a rock. You don't eat rocks. You don't eat a bottle of shampoo. It's the same kind of thing. Once you get in that habit, once it becomes that you just don't eat that stuff, you wouldn't eat, a pillow. You wouldn't eat a cardboard box. You don't eat meat. It's the same thing.
That's right. All right. So 57 minutes, and I know you said an hour. So let me ask one last get to know you question. If you, I would imagine you've traveled. So of all the places that you've traveled, what is your favorite? At question one, and then the question 2B of that is, if you could go anywhere and money wasn't an issue, where would you go?
Man, those are really, really good questions. As a younger man, I spent a little bit of time in England. My family's history is English and Scottish, so I would love to go back to England. I'd love to go metal detecting in some of the fields in England. That's kind of a bucket list thing that I would love to do. By the same token, I'd love to go metal detecting in the Australian outback to try to go nugget hunting and find gold out there. That sounds like it would be a blast too.
Nice.
My favorite place that I visited, and I got a chance to go to places like St. Kitts and Nevis and Aruba back in the day. I would probably want to go back to Spain. I had a little bit of opportunity to spend some time in Spain, and it was a beautiful country with beautiful people and fantastic food and amazing weather and beautiful architecture. So that would probably be the place that I would want to return to.
Nice. Very, very cool, man. Awesome. Well, we are at 58 minutes. How are you feeling? Should we keep going? Should we wrap it up?
If anybody else has any question, we'll wrap it up pretty soon. But if anybody has any more specific questions, and not necessarily for me, our host, Kalilo, thank you so much for allowing me an opportunity to speak with you guys on a Saturday afternoon to talk about something that we're both very, very passionate about, Mexican precious metals. That's just an awesome subsegment of what we do. I am going to get a sip of my matcha latte here.
Yeah, you go for it. Yeah. So So for me, let me bust this guy out because I think people want to. I think the people want to see it. So if um if SHTF happened or if something happened and I had to liquidate all of this stuff that you see here, all my Mexican stuff, Mexican gold, this would all be the last to go, the absolute last to go.
That's awesome. It's just a beautiful piece, and to be able to see it in such a ridiculously huge size, it's an exciting piece. I don't know how somebody would look at that and not think that that was just the coolest thing ever.
Man, I'm telling you, when I first saw one, and like I said, I'm part of the PMs for sale on Reddit community, and so buy and sell. Like I liken it to an online like virtual coin show that just never ends, and
Yeah.
so there's a lot of people in there who they just love this stuff, and life happens and they do have to liquidate. And so like the gentleman that was having a hard time, and I won't talk about his business, but when he sold it, I told him, I said, look, if something ever happens and you want to get it back and I still have it and I'm at a point where I need to sell whatever, hit me up. But I also told him, I said, this is going to a really good home.
Yeah.
Somebody who absolutely will love the heck out of this. And so this is, I want to say, aside from the 5 pesos that I just picked, or not the 5 pesos, the cinco onzas, the 2018 reverse proof, I mean, these two are probably some of my favorite pieces.
That's amazing choices, and it's so cool that we have so many different options when you're talking about Mexican and Spanish colonial pieces. I mean, the Mexico City Mint's been in business since the 1560s or whatever it's been.
Yep.
So you have such a rich history of things that we can go into. If somebody says it's like saying you don't like the Beatles. I mean, how can you say you don't like Mexican coinage when it goes back hundreds and hundreds of years? It's amazing. I wanted to give
Absolutely.
props to the guys who were talking about being in Santa Fe and Taos. I've spent a little bit of time in Santa Fe and Taos, and chili ristras are awesome. Those are beautiful things. We actually had one hanging in my living room for a while. And then we had a question about the one onzas, the cap and ray pieces, these balanza pieces from the 1920s to the 1940s. That was Tony Begg's question. I've got a handful of these. These are the ones that I used to give out on the holidays to contractors and also some of my favorite servers at some of the favorite restaurants where I frequent, in particular, one of the Mexican joints here in town. So this was the closest Friday to Christmas. Not only would I give 25% tip, but I would leave one of these. And actually, before I was leaving these, I was leaving Libertads and full Onza pieces. But the way that the price of silver kept on going up, this year it was one of these and another very similar piece. It was a 50 centavo piece from about the same period of time, roughly the same size and weight and purity. But it's a great question. This is a great entry drug. At least it used to be. If you're interested in Mexican pieces and you don't know where to start, these are, I want to say, very similar to size, weight, and value as a 50-cent piece, an American half dollar. You can find these in brilliant uncirculated condition. They have a fantastic looking eagle with a snake in its mouth on the front. That's technically the front, I believe, of the Mexican pieces. And you can see how clearly it says 0.720 at the top. Just like most Mexican pieces, it tells you right on them what they're made out of. One of the great things about them. So yeah, we got a big stack of these. It is a dwindling stack because I don't seem to find them as much anymore. But this is a great entry drug. If you are interested in getting into the Mexican silver pieces of the 20th century in particular, these pieces are a great place to start.
Yeah, and when I first got my little handful of those, I just regret. It's like anything stacking. I just regret not getting more of them because I think right now they're like I forget, but when I picked them up, they were about 24.99 or $24 each, and I think what are they worth now? I forget.
Yeah, I wish I could pull open 2 different screens at one time and take a look at them. It's funny that I have a problem doing that, but they're definitely beautiful pieces, and they're inexpensive too.
Yeah, these are some beauties, and they're nice little chunkers, and it's got the little the rays, and I really love the back because, of course, when I see the back of it, it just reminds me of
definitely, yeah,
the 50 pesos.
And they're very cool in like the Libertads because they do have the writing on the rim rather than on the reeds on the edge.
Oh yeah, let me get this chunky Libertad here. It's got the chunkers. And by the way, I don't think he's in the live anymore, but I wanted to say this. You know, I was saving this for a really good moment, but so I was sponsored, y'all.
Wow.
So, Oh Silver, my love, aka Darb Q, he gave me this. He said, "Keep this for a gall," and I told him, "All right, I'll do it for a 1K." It's at 82 BU Libertad,
Nice.
and so yeah, he sponsored the channel. He gave this for my first gall. So as soon as we hit 1,000, I'm doing a gall, and somebody's gonna get this BU 82 Libertad.
Now that's cool. That is very, very cool. We are getting ready to do my 8,000 subscriber giveaway at some point in the very near future. For the
Yeah,
guys
tell
who are
us about it.
subscribed to my channel, I did a 6,000 subscriber giveaway, and then 7,000 came so quickly. I decided that instead of, when I could see it approaching, I was like, it's getting to be silly, because the 6,000 was a little bit complicated. It took longer than it should have. So I said, instead of 7,000, we'll do 7,500. And then I had a video that went kind of viral in the last month, and I gained 1,400 subscribers in less than a month. So now I'm at 85 and change subscribers. So I am way overdue for doing another subscriber giveaway. I've been working with Alandis Studios, and I'll be doing a subscriber giveaway with them. And that will be
Whoa.
coming up within the next probably 30 days, definitely within the next 30 days. I've got to make it happen. I'm going to fall too far behind. So if you're interested, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, definitely subscribe to Kalios first, and then come back to and subscribe to my channel. We will be having a giveaway sometime in the next 30 days, and it will be giving away what could be 9 silver coins made specifically for me. At least that's my hope.
Wow.
And we'll know if
Holy.
the guys from Landis are at the fun show in Orlando, Florida this weekend. And I've been communicating with them. As soon as they get back, and if they don't have super, super pressing amount of orders, which I'm sure they will, generated at the fun show, then I'll start working with them, and we'll get that out within the next 30 days.
And you said in your last video, it's Ron Landis, right? Is that correct?
Ron Landis was the guy who started the company, and he passed away in 2025, early 2025, I think.
That's right. He did custom pours, right? He like made his own coins. And didn't he previously work for a mint? Is that correct?
I think he did. That would have been a long time ago, and I don't remember exactly what the circumstances were that caused him to leave. But what he was making, and he may have done pours, his pieces look like they're poured, but they're actually cold forged. So he actually creates a die and then hammers that into a 1 ounce chunk of silver.
Yeah. Whoa. So I'm going to grab your link for the live here real quick.
I appreciate it. I would do it if I thought I could, but I probably closed out of my camera if I tried.
Yeah. So I want, please don't let me forget about Ron Landis, because I have a really interesting story about him.
Yeah. Okay.
Really, really interesting story. And it's a story of complete regret.
Uh-oh.
So
man, there is so much complete regret when it comes to this stacking hobby. I actually will be doing a video about some of the pieces that got away, either pieces that I wasn't able to get. And if you saw the last night's video, you know that there was a Ron Landis piece that I wasn't able to get. Pieces that I thought that I was going to be able to snag really easily. And then pieces that I've sold that I now regret. Liberty Bleeds, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, LBS is here. Nice.
We got some great people in the house.
So, oh man, I think I have such a regret even trying to tell this story. But so you talk about, so not only, oh my gosh, I am so ashamed. Okay, so let me just confess it, y'all, because we got to give the people what they want. So a little bit of a little bit of drama. So I knew a story about Ron Landis because of course, he's well known. I didn't know anything about him. And so somebody on PMs for Sale happened to sell some pieces that they got directly from him. They actually had a relationship with him.
Nice.
And he had made these 1 gram coins, well, not coins or rounds, but they looked like coins.
Okay.
They were some of the most beautiful, most intricate pieces I had ever seen. He talked about the whole story about his passing. And so he's like, he was also hard up for times, and he was again part of the sub. So he liquidated, I think it was about 8 of them. and I picked all 8 of them up. I thought they were incredibly beautiful. When I got them, they were Type 1 and Type 2s. Of course, you know, they're vintage. They're no longer made. He had made them a long time ago. Anyways, long story short, these are some of the most beautiful 1 gram, 1 coin round type coins. And so me, like a bonehead, I ended up selling them because I was trying to get something. I can't remember. It was one of the, I'm pretty sure it's one of the pieces you see here. I can't remember exactly, but I, like a bonehead, sold them all. And then now I hear that Dubsy's getting some stuff made from his place or the business, and I'm like, man, I cannot believe I got rid of those.
Well, I was shocked to see that the hobo nickel that I did not win at Heritage from my video from last night where I talked about that. But it just goes to show you sometimes pieces just go for moon money when you least expect it. And it's just there, you know, all of a sudden people wake up to the same thing and realize that this is a piece of numismatic history. It's got a special kind of a cross collector appeal or whatever it is. And it just slips through your fingers without you even realizing it. You know, you think that you're making a logical decision, and the next day you wake up and you find out that was the dumbest thing you could have done. And it's happened to me hundreds of times in this hobby.
Yeah, I cannot believe what I let them go for. It's a shame to say, but I'm going to just say, because I try to be transparent, but I ended up selling them for about 150 or so each.
Okay.
I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it. Oh, I regret it. But they were such beautiful pieces. And after I bought them, of course, I researched him. I learned about him. And then when I saw your video the other day or yesterday, I was like, why did I get rid of those?
You know, one last story before I take off is that
Yep.
I had an opportunity to find, and I've shown them before on my channel, the original Felix Schlag nickel design. That's the nickel that we're all familiar with. That's got Jefferson on the front on a side view, and on the back is his mansion that's called Monticello. So that's kind of the typical 20th century American nickel, but Felix Schlag, the designer, actually originally designed that nickel with a front that looked exactly like the nickel that we're all familiar with. But then on the back of it was an angled view of Monticello from like the corner of the house, looking at it from an angle and from like a very human perspective. And that was the Felix Schlag original design, but it was so cutting edge that even though he won the commission to get his nickel design made, and it was a very fierce competition, when push came to shove, the time to actually strike those pieces, the mint that was in charge of deciding the final image said no. So they made it a really boring. It's an attractive image of Monticello on the back that we all know with the steps leading up to it. But it's a really kind of very safe interpretation. It looks exactly like the house actually looks. So Felix Schlag's original design was really, really cutting edge, and it really would have kind of shifted America into a new era of design, but they just felt it was a little bit too out there. So in 1983, I want to say the Landis Mint, Ron Landis, recreated those for something called the Full Step Nickel Club. The collector of nickels, and he redesigned that, or he used the original design, and he struck these nickels in pure silver with the original design, and it is absolutely stunning. So that was my first encounter with Ron Landis. When I first saw those, I fell in love with them immediately, and I searched high and low to try to find them. And eventually I found examples, and I've got examples right now in my stack in my collection. And then something like 4 or 5 years ago, Ron Landis re-released those, with this time without the little Full Step Nickel Club designation on them. So if you're interested, look for the original Felix Schlag nickel design. It is stunning, and I'll post pictures if I get an opportunity. I'll try to post some pictures not too long ago. I'll put them on my YouTube channel so everybody can see what I was talking about. But they are so out there, so forward thinking, and the fact that Ron Landis recreated them out of pure silver. They're still nickel size, but they're pure silver. Just beautiful. There's a proof and there's an uncirculated version of them. So yeah, my understanding, at least my knowledge of the Landis Studios, goes back at least 25 years now, and I'm thrilled to be able to work with them, even though Ron is passed now, that this has become something that I can kind of reincorporate and give back to the community.
So that is very special. So last question before we let you go, Dubs. Any channel swag as far as like a poker chip stickers for your what was it? What was your number again? 7,500?
80, I'm at 85, 80, 85, 50, something like that. Thank you again. I'm not being flip with that. It's just that we've gotten so many people subscribed to it. I haven't even seen what the tally is.
You might as well just make it the 10,000 God, man.
I hope so, man. Wouldn't that be fun? So
that would be awesome.
I have never done the whole poker chip or sticker or anything like that thing. To me, I started doing giveaways whenever I hit a milestone. And one of my earliest giveaways, so I was giving away 8 reales, and I also gave away a 2.5 peso, a gold coin, for my 2,000 subscriber giveaway. I think I gave away.
Holy!
And now that's worth a ton of money. It wasn't just a year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, whoa! Whoever has that, good on you.
Yeah, so I was giving away silver and gold coins, and that's kind of the tradition that I'm going to keep on doing. Nothing wrong if you like the poker chips and the stickers and stuff like that. It's just that since my focus has always been on the precious metals, I wanted to make that part of what I do, and that's why my giveaways have always been precious metals. At least I think they have.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the people would love to have some dub stickers or poker chips or anything like that. I haven't done it yet. I mean, I'm just getting started, so I'm gonna probably wait either to 500 or maybe 1,000 before I even make an order for those, because I want to focus on the content for now. But man, people love your stuff. I know I'm a fan. I would love to have.
You'll be there in no time, man. You put out good material, and you've got such an enthusiastic and exciting perspective that it definitely shows in your videos. I like watching them, and I hope everybody subscribes to your channel. And that's why I put out several posts and mentioned it a couple of times in my live stream last night, because I knew this was going to be fun. Hopefully we have kept everybody who's in the chat entertained for this last hour.
I hope so. Yeah, this was a great time. All right, Dubs, I took enough of your time. It was an honor before you were here. I've been a big fan, so I love to learn. I love history. I love anyone that could help me go up to 2 IQ points every time I hear them speak. So thanks again, man. Really appreciate you. Have a great rest of your weekend, buddy.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Thank you, Khalil. I appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, buddy. Take care. All right, chat. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And I'm going to just say one last real quick thing again. Shout out to Old Silver, my love, aka Darb Q, 1K giveaway, giving away this 1982 BU Libertad that he so happened to sponsor the channel with. I didn't realize I'd have a sponsor. No, just kidding. No sponsors. Just he decided to gift me this. And I actually, he gifted one to my wife, and so she came and picked out from these chunkies. She picked one out, and I'll be giving this one away at the 1,000 sub giveaway. And so hopefully my plan is that at the 1,000, not only will I be giving this away, giving away some gold backs, and then as well as hopefully by then I'll have my channel stickers and channel poker chips. So 1,000 subs. So for now, again, like I had mentioned with Dubs, I'm going to focus on the content and just do my best to keep putting out meaningful content that the community enjoys. But here you go. 1,000 subs. So keep an eye out for, once I hit 1,000 subs giveaway, some lucky channel member subscriber is going to enjoy this beautiful BU 1982 Chunky Libertad. I just wanted to say real quick, thanks to everyone who joined. So who do we have here still in the chat? We got Matt Wing, Tony Bennett, Rural, Matt, Greg Olson, Rural Stacker, who else? Silver Serpent, LBS. Thanks for joining, buddy. Any last chats? Let's see. Everyone's Gold Libertad. Yeah, not planning on giving away Gold Libertad. Sorry. But again, thanks everyone for joining. I really appreciate it. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Remember, protect your wealth, protect your peace. Nos vemos. Galilo out.